Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and felt an invisible weight press down on your chest? Before you even sit up, before the day has truly begun, your mind is already spiraling, replaying worries, predicting disasters, stacking problems that haven't even happened yet. Maybe it's the unpaid bills waiting at the end of the month. Maybe it's the deadlines breathing down your neck. Maybe it's the harsh words from yesterday that still echo in your head like an open wound. And just like that, the day hasn't started, but you already feel exhausted, defeated, as if life has already beaten you before the first step. If this sounds painfully familiar, if your mornings feel more like stepping into a war zone than receiving a gift, then stay with me. This story was made for you, because there was once a man who woke up angry at life every single morning. A man who believed nothing would ever change, until one small habit, just 5 quiet minutes each morning, flipped his world upside down, not only transforming his mornings, but rewriting the direction of his entire life. Don't go anywhere. What happens at the end might surprise you. In the heart of a crowded city, where glass towers scraped the sky and people rushed past each other without looking up, lived a 35-year-old man named Daniel. From the outside, Daniel's life looked perfectly fine. He had a steady job as an accountant, a modest but comfortable apartment, enough money to survive, pay rent, and keep going. By society's standards, he had made it. But every morning told a very different story. The second his alarm clock screamed, his stomach tightened. His first emotion wasn't gratitude. It wasn't hope. It was dread. Not again. Another day. Another grind. Another commute. Another pile of work he didn't care about. Another round of stress, noise, and pressure that never seemed to end. Daniel would stay in bed, staring at his phone, scrolling mindlessly. Headlines filled with fear and anger. Social media flooded with people who looked happier, richer, more successful than him. Each swipe chipped away at his peace. Each minute made it harder to get up. And before his feet even touched the floor, Daniel already felt like he was losing a battle he never agreed to fight. Other people's vacations, other people's achievements, other people's perfect smiles. By the time Daniel finally forced himself out of bed, the darkness had already settled inside him. At breakfast, food became nothing more than texture. He chewed without tasting, staring past the table as if his body was present, but his mind had already clocked in at the office. Meetings he hated, problems he hadn't solved, conversations from yesterday replaying on a cruel loop. One morning, as steam curled up from their coffee cups, Sarah watched him quietly for a moment. Then she spoke, her voice soft but steady. "Daniel, when was the last time you actually enjoyed waking up?" He froze, eyes fixed on the surface of his coffee. He searched his memory and found nothing. No moment, no feeling. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe when I was a kid, before life got so heavy." Sarah reached across the table and took his hand. "Daniel, you're alive, you're healthy. You have people who love you, but you live like life is a sentence, not a gift." Her words cut deep because they landed exactly where the truth lived. Daniel wanted to change. He really did. But negativity felt automatic, like breathing. He told himself lies that sounded hopeful but led nowhere. "I'll be happy when I get promoted. When I earn more money. When life finally gets easier." But when never arrived, the weight only grew heavier. His sleep became restless. His relationships strained under the constant cloud. Even good moments couldn't reach him anymore. A raise at work, clear blue skies, laughter around him. None of it broke through. Daniel became the kind of person who spotted flaws in every solution, complaints in every blessing. Then one evening, Sarah said something that shook him to his core. "Daniel, I love you," she said quietly, "but I can't keep waking up next to someone who hates waking up." That night, sleep refused to come. Daniel lay staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, haunted by a question he'd avoided for years. When did I become this person? And how do I find my way back? The next morning, he woke at 5:30 a.m., eyes wide open. No alarm, no rest, just silence. For the first time in years, he didn't reach for his phone. He didn't scroll. He didn't drown himself in noise. Instead, he got dressed and stepped outside. The city was still half asleep. Streets were quiet. The sun hovered low, painting the sky in pale gold. The air felt cool, clean, untouched. As he walked through a small park, Daniel noticed an elderly man sitting alone on a bench, tossing crumbs to a flock of birds. The man looked to be in his 70s, dressed simply, his posture relaxed. But what caught Daniel's attention wasn't the birds. It was the man's face. He was smiling, not at his phone, not at anyone else, just smiling. In a city that never slowed down, where everyone seemed to be chasing something they didn't have, this man looked completely at peace. And for reasons Daniel couldn't explain, that quiet smile stopped him in his tracks. Nothing in particular, just smiling. Something about that quiet smile pulled Daniel toward the bench, almost against his will. "Do you mind if I sit here?" Daniel asked. The old man looked up, eyes kind, and gestured beside him. "Of course, please." They sat without speaking for a while, listening to the soft flutter of wings, watching the birds hop and peck at the ground. The silence felt different, not awkward, not heavy. Peaceful. Finally, Daniel broke it. "Can I ask you something?" The old man nodded. "You look happy. Not pretending. Not forcing it. Truly happy. How?" The old man let out a gentle laugh, the kind that carried no rush. "You think happiness is something you stumble upon," he said. "Isn't it?" Daniel replied. The man slowly shook his head. "No, young man. Happiness isn't something you find. It's something you practice. Every single day." Daniel frowned. "Practice?" The old man studied him for a moment. "Tell me," he said softly, "what was the very first thought that crossed your mind when you woke up this morning?" Daniel hesitated, then sighed. "Honestly, I thought, here we go again. Another day to survive." He paused. "Yesterday was the same, and the day before that." As the words left his mouth, something clicked. Every morning had followed the same script, the same heaviness, the same resistance, the same quiet dread. The old man nodded, as if he'd heard this answer 1,000 times before. "My friend," he said gently but firmly, "you have been training your mind to look for what's wrong. Every morning, you rehearse fear, frustration, and disappointment. And now, you're excellent at it." The words hit Daniel like icy water. Training. He had never thought of it that way. Years of waking up with negativity hadn't just affected his mood, they had shaped his mind. Negativity wasn't bad luck, it was habit. Daniel swallowed. "Is there a way to undo that?" he asked quietly. "To retrain it?" The old man's lips curved into a knowing smile. "There is," he said, "and it begins with 5 minutes." "5 minutes?" Daniel echoed. "Just 5," the man replied. "Every morning. No phone, no noise, no rushing." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small notebook, its cover worn, edges softened by time. When he opened it, the pages were filled with careful handwriting, line after line, page after page. "This," the old man said, tapping the notebook lightly, "is where my mornings begin." Daniel leaned closer, curiosity rising for the first time in years. And in that quiet park, as the city slowly woke up around them, Daniel felt something unfamiliar stirring inside him. Hope. "For the last 20 years, the old man said calmly, "I followed the same ritual every single morning, before I check my phone, before I plan my day, before I let the world speak to me." Daniel listened closely. "I write down 3 things I'm grateful for." Daniel blinked, skeptical. "That's it? Just writing things?" The old man didn't argue. Instead, he bent down and picked up 2 stones from the path, one dark and rough, the other pale and smooth. "Picture your mind as a garden," he said, placing the stones in his palm. "Every morning you plant seeds." He lifted the dark stone. "When you wake up and feed your mind with worry, fear, and complaint, this is what grows." Then he raised the lighter stone. "But when you plant gratitude, awareness, and appreciation for what's already good, this is what takes root instead." He gently placed both stones into Daniel's hands. "Right now," the old man said softly, "your garden is overflowing with dark stones. Not because you're broken, but because you've been planting them for years." Daniel looked down at his palms. "But here's the miracle," the man continued. "You can change what you plant, starting tomorrow." He leaned in slightly, his voice steady and precise. "Every morning, before your feet touch the floor, before your phone steals your attention, write down 3 things you're grateful for." Daniel nodded slowly. "Not vague ideas," the old man added. "Not my health or my family written out of habit. I mean real moments, specific details, things you actually noticed." He opened his notebook and showed Daniel the page from that morning. "1," he read, "the way the sunlight came through my window and warmed my face. 2, the smell of coffee filling my kitchen. 3, my neighbor's daughter waving at me yesterday when I came home." Daniel looked up. "That's really small stuff." The old man smiled. "Exactly, because the small things are the life you're actually living." He paused. Success, achievements, future goals. Those are ideas. They live in your head. But these little moments? He tapped the notebook. These are real. This is now. Then he explained what would happen. The first few days will feel uncomfortable, he warned. Your mind will fight back. It will whisper, this is pointless. This won't change anything. He met Daniel's eyes. That resistance is normal. Keep going. After 1 week, he continued, you'll start looking for good moments during the day because you'll know you'll need 3 tomorrow morning. After 2 weeks, you'll catch yourself appreciating moments while they're happening. And after 30 days, he said quietly, you'll realize something powerful. Your life didn't change, but your attention did. The old man closed his notebook and reached into his bag. He pulled out a small blank notebook and handed it to Daniel. 30 days, he said, just 30. Every morning, 3 specific things before anything else. He paused. Can you do that? Daniel felt the weight of the notebook in his hands. It wasn't heavy, but it felt important. For the first time in years, the feeling in his chest wasn't dread. It wasn't anxiety. It was curiosity. I'll try, Daniel said. The old man smiled, the same quiet, peaceful smile that had drawn Daniel in. Good, he said. Now go home. Tomorrow morning, he added, standing up, your practice begins. Day 1. Daniel woke up at exactly 6 a.m. His hand moved instinctively toward his phone, muscle memory built over years. Then he stopped. He remembered the notebook. He picked it up, opened to the first blank page, and froze. Silence. His mind felt empty. What am I even grateful for? Minutes passed. Finally, he wrote anyway. I woke up today. The bed was comfortable. Sarah is still here. He stared at the words. They felt stiff, unnatural, almost embarrassing. But he closed the notebook anyway. He had done it. Day 5. The words came a little easier. 1, the way Sarah laughed at my stupid joke last night. 2, my coffee was the perfect temperature this morning. 3, no traffic on my commute yesterday. He didn't feel happier. Nothing magical happened. But he kept writing. Day 12. Something subtle changed. Daniel sat in yet another draining meeting, half listening, half resisting frustration, when suddenly he noticed sunlight pouring through the window, casting soft patterns across the wall. Without thinking, he felt it. A tiny spark. That's beautiful. The thought surprised him. Then another realization followed. I'll write about this tomorrow. For the first time in years, Daniel wasn't hunting for what was wrong. He was noticing what was right. Day 17. The entries grew deeper. The sound of rain this morning, like the world was being rinsed clean. A coworker brought extra coffee for everyone without being asked. The trees are turning greener. Spring is coming. That evening, Sarah looked at him carefully. You seem lighter lately, she said. What changed? Daniel handed her the notebook. She read quietly, page after page, her eyes filled with tears. Daniel, she whispered, you're coming back. Day 25. Daniel woke up before his alarm. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. He sat up, heart calm, and opened the notebook. I woke up excited for the day. I can't remember the last time that happened. Sarah sleeping peacefully beside me, realizing I have more control over my mind than I ever believed. He closed the notebook and smiled. Day 30. At 5:30 a.m., Daniel returned to the park. The city was quiet again, the air cool, familiar. The old man sat on the same bench feeding the birds. Daniel sat beside him and held out the notebook, now full. I did it, Daniel said softly. 30 days. The old man smiled. And? He asked. Daniel swallowed. You were right. Everything changed. He shook his head. Not my circumstances. My job's the same. My life looks mostly the same. His voice trembled. But I changed. I see differently now. I feel differently. He took a breath. I didn't realize how much I'd lost until I started finding it again. Joy, gratitude, presence. He paused. I thought they were gone forever. The old man placed a gentle hand on Daniel's shoulder. They were never gone, my friend, he said, only buried beneath years of practiced negativity. Daniel looked at him. So what do I do now? The old man smiled, eyes warm. You keep going. He stood slowly. This was never a 30-day challenge, he said. It's a way of living. Some mornings will still be hard, he added, but now you know the truth. Daniel listened closely. What you practice grows. And as the birds scattered into the morning sky, Daniel understood something he had never known before. Happiness wasn't waiting for him in the future. It had been quietly available all along, the moment he chose to notice it. Some mornings, the old man had said, you'll have to look a little harder for those three things. But trust me, they're always there. Always. 6 months later, Daniel still writes his three gratitudes every single morning. Not because he has to, because it feels natural now, like breathing. His relationship with Sarah has grown stronger, warmer, more present. His job hasn't changed, but the way he experiences it has. Stress still shows up, bad days still happen, but they no longer swallow him whole. And every few weeks, Daniel returns to the park. The old man is usually there, sitting on the same bench. They don't talk much. They don't need to. They sit in comfortable silence, watching the city wake up together. Now listen closely. Daniel's story isn't just his story. It's yours. It's mine. It's the story of anyone who forgot how to appreciate the life they're living while chasing the life they think they need. Here's the truth that changed everything for Daniel. You can't control most of what happens to you, but you can control where your attention goes. And where your attention goes, your life follows. Right now, you have a choice. Tomorrow morning, you can wake up the same way you always do, grabbing your phone, flooding your mind with notifications, headlines, other people's lives, starting the day reactive, rushed, and already overwhelmed. Or you can choose something different. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Before you sleep, place a notebook and a pen next to your bed. Not your phone, a notebook. Tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, before you check a single screen, write down 3 specific things you're grateful for from yesterday. Not vague ideas, specific moments. The way your coffee tasted, a smile from a stranger, the comfort of your pillow, the fact that you can see, hear, breathe, feel. Do this every morning for 30 days. And let me promise you something. Honestly, if you commit to this practice, you won't just change your mornings. You'll change your life. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you become better at noticing the good that's already there. If this story reached you, if it stirred something inside you, share this video with someone who needs this reminder. Drop a comment with one thing you're grateful for right now, even if it feels small. Let's practice together. I'll be back with another story to help you grow. Until then, remember this: life doesn't get better by luck. It gets better by choice. And that choice begins the moment you wake up tomorrow. 5 quiet minutes of gratitude can change everything. Wake up grateful. Stay patient. Keep growing.